Hey everyone, so before we get into today's video, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, Keen. Keen provides access to vetted psychics and spiritual advisors who provide guidance and insight on life's challenges, clarity in love, relationships, career, and more. Keen is also one of the most affordable ways to get an instant psychic reading by a professional anytime, 24/7. I tried out Keen for the sponsorship, and it's a very easy to use website. I do recommend choosing a longer session if you want to get the most out of your experience, but as a new Keen customer, the first 10 minutes are $199, and then after those 10 minutes, the rates depend on which advisor that you choose. There are so many advisors on the website that you can choose from. There is somebody available 24/7, so I definitely recommend looking through them, seeing which one you vibe with the most. And Keen has a great feature that'll help you find your best match on the website as shown on the screen here. Also, make sure that you have your questions ready because it can go by pretty quickly, especially if you choose a shorter session. So if you really want to get the most out of your experience, I recommend knowing what you're going to ask first, maybe write it down, and then just going straight into it if you want to get the most out of your time with your advisor. And the great thing about Keen is if you find an advisor that you really connect with, you can create an ongoing relationship with them, which has a bunch of benefits like chakra clearing, monthly intention setting, and getting clarity on synchronicities. And each week, Keen offers discounts to their customers through email, so if you're already a member, then there's probably a discount waiting for you in your inbox right now. And this makes Keen one of the most affordable ways to meet with an advisor multiple times. So if you're interested, go to trykeen.com/Madison. So thanks so much to Keen for sponsoring this video. Now let's get on to my thoughts on New Age spirituality. Hey everyone, so today I wanted to talk about the rise of New Age spirituality and how this new movement has been affecting our generation, and I just wanted to share my thoughts on some of the things that I've noticed about this New Age spirituality movement and some of the things that people say about it. And yeah, I have a lot to say, so I'm just gonna get right into it. So things like crystals, astrology, even yoga, meditation, manifesting, all those things kind of fit into this category of New Age spirituality. In the past few years, people from Gen Z and the millennial generation have left traditional religion and moved on to spirituality. And I think there are a lot of pros to this and also some cons, which I'll get into later in the video. I think my first introduction to New Age spirituality was actually through Tumblr, and I'm sure a lot of other people can relate to that. I remember seeing aesthetically pleasing pictures of crystals and things like that, and I always thought it looked pretty cool, and I think a lot of people found that aesthetic to look very interesting. And then Urban Outfitters started selling books on crystals and probably selling crystals too, and so it kind of just became this like fun little trend. I think a lot of people's first introductions to spirituality was through these aesthetic image-based websites like Tumblr. And I think there's something very interesting about that because it seems as though a lot of surface level material things are what draws people into spirituality because it does have a very pleasing aesthetic. It's very whimsical and light and cute, and it seems like, you know, why not put pretty rocks in my room, and if they mean something, then that's cool too. Before I get into my critique of this New Age spirituality movement, I do want to talk about some of the pros that come with going down the path of enlightenment, because I think the rise in spirituality is mostly a good thing as long as, you know, the intentions are pure. It seems as though we're going through a collective awakening, and I think that's really cool because more and more people are taking their spirituality into their own hands rather than just going down the path that their past family members did. A lot of people don't consider themselves religious anymore, and more people are taking the time to really question what it is that they believe in and doing what feels right for them. It makes sense that millennials and people in Gen Z are leaving behind traditional religion and moving on to spirituality because a lot of traditional religions tend to be very constrictive, and the world is becoming a much more liberal place, at least in the United States, and young people's beliefs don't align with a lot of traditional Christian values, for example. A lot of traditional Christians don't agree with things like pro-choice and gay marriage, and so it makes sense that many of us who do consider ourselves liberal and believe that anyone should be free to have human rights regardless of who they love or what they do with their body, their beliefs don't align with the beliefs of their religion. This isn't to say all Christians think this way. Obviously, there are many different kinds of Christians, but it would be a bit ignorant to completely ignore the fact that there are many Christians out there who use their religion to spread hate. Even though people aren't as religious as they used to be, I think it's natural for humans to want something to believe in. We want to be able to think that we're not alone in this world and that there is some sort of higher power looking over us, whether it's God or the universe, source, whatever you want to call it. Something to explain the unexplainable. And there are other ways to have those needs met without subscribing to a specific religion. Overall, I think embarking on a spiritual journey is great for one's mental health and can really improve their life. I know when I started learning about spirituality and really looking inward and exploring my inner world, it completely changed the way that I view life and the way I view myself for the better. I have a whole video about my spiritual journey on this channel if you want to go check it out, so I'm not going to go on too long about that, but I think overall it is a very good thing that people are becoming more self-aware and more willing to do things like shadow work to improve their lives and bring happiness into their everyday life. I also think whenever there's an uptick in spirituality, it's for a reason. It's typically a reaction to the state of the world. And I think people need all the love, positivity, and peace and spirituality that they can get right now because the world is a very stressful place. And so we need something that we can turn to that will give us hope and will help us cope with the shit that we experience in this world. Religion, at the end of the day, is a place of love and a place that is sacred where we can worship and feel less alone in the world. Whether it's connecting with a higher spirit or with the people who we worship with. Religion or spirituality can build great communities, and for many people it's a very important part of their lives. Some people devote their entire lives to their spirituality or religion. The great thing about spirituality is you can be spiritual without being religious. And every religious person is spiritual. Spirituality can be a great way to learn and grow, but there are many things about this whole New Age spirituality movement that don't really sit right with me. It seems as though this New Age spirituality movement is a trend, and I see that mostly through social media, right? And the reason I think it has become such a trend is because, like I said before, there's so much emphasis on the aesthetic of it all rather than the real substance behind the crystals and manifestation tips. I think it's great that we're all realizing that we are in control of our lives and our minds are very powerful, and we're learning how to adjust our minds and our thoughts to get us to where we want to be. However, I don't think there's a lot of transparency from a lot of these like spiritual online guru influencers, and I think that is going to cause a lot of damage to a lot of young people. Because it's such a trend, there are a lot of people hopping onto this trying to make a quick buck. They don't really think about or care about what kind of message they're putting out there and how that's going to affect other people. A lot of people are taking this opportunity to make money off of vulnerable people looking for guidance. You know that video that Cody Ko and Noelle Miller made about that girl where she fell in love with some dude at Whole Foods?
I met you a month ago at Whole Foods.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
As I would expect.
Those are the kinds of people I'm thinking of when I mention social media spiritual gurus. Just pretty white girls frolicking on the beach, taking Instagram photos with long drawn-out captions that are saying something but really not saying a whole lot. And they use flowery language and random spiritual buzzwords like abundance and self-love, manifestation, you know, shit like that. And honestly, I've always found that shit to be mad phony. I don't really understand why something so personal like spirituality has to be an aesthetic. It just seems really disingenuous, especially because a lot of young people who don't really understand what spirituality is and they want to learn about it will just look at people with a cute Instagram feed that gives them the look of being spiritual. So they look at that person and they think, oh, well, she looks like she knows what she's talking about. She has some nice Instagram pictures with cute, somewhat motivating captions, and she says she manifested her vacation in Bali, so clearly I can do it too because she says so in her $1,000 spirituality course on her website.
Now, if you get the monthly subscription, you can get monthly themes focusing on a single self-love topic, full online course teaching you about self-love topic each month, access to a private online community, meetups for members. All other courses are included for free.
What are your credentials? Like, truly, I would love to know. People are out here just selling whatever to their impressionable followers because I know that they're looking for guidance and they're gullible enough to listen to them. A lot of these people don't even really know what they're talking about, and they don't even know where this stuff comes from. I've noticed that a lot of white influencers specifically have completely colonized Eastern traditions, and in the wise words of Isis from Bring It On,
I'm here y'all come trying to steal it, putting some blonde hair on it, and calling it something different.
many of these New Age spirituality practices come from Eastern traditions that a lot of Americans know nothing about. They just read some self-help books and some cute Instagram infographics about manifestation and think all of a sudden they're enlightened.
Oh, you need to cut them. Oh, you're dirty. It's cultural appropriation. Oh, you're not allowed to do this. It's like, no, it feels natural.
I actually am a little bit Indian, so...
LSD has a euphoric component. It's like diving into a deep pool of what the fuck.
Or they take a bunch of drugs at EDC and have an ego death and think that they've found the key to happiness. I don't know if it's just me, but whenever I see like some white dude on YouTube with dreadlocks talking about his spiritual awakening and he changes his name from some American white dude name like Bobby Lee, and then they have some Sanskrit name that they just gave themselves. Do you know what I'm talking about? I just think it's really weird. Like, why do you have to change your name though?
My name's Razma. My first name, which I don't use anymore, was actually ruined by Amazon. Alexa, turn on Rolling Stone. It was actually activating my nervous system.
Now, I'm not here to tell people what they are and what they aren't. I'm not gonna point fingers and be like, you're not Hindu because you weren't born in India and you don't know what you're talking about. I'm sure there are plenty of people out there who have done their research and truly understand what it is that they're doing. But there are a lot of people out there who don't really know what they're talking about and are fronting on the internet acting like they do and making money off of it, which I find very, very strange. I don't know, man. A lot of these people are a bunch of hacks, and I think people really need to be careful with who they follow and be careful with what they listen to, because a lot of people are learning about New Age spirituality through social media, which is completely normal, and that's how I found out about it. But anyone can make a video about how to raise your vibration or how to manifest. I mean, shit, I have a video about manifesting on my Patreon. Hit me up on patreon.com/MadisonBrown if you're trying to hear my thoughts on manifestation, what I do, and some of my takes on the matter, because a lot of the things that people say about manifestation is low-key bullshit. If you're on TikTok, then you may be aware of some of the bizarre tactics and techniques that people say will help you manifest super quickly, like how to manifest a boyfriend in 24 hours. If you just tattoo his name on your wrist 3 times and then do 16 jumping jacks, 4 push-ups, and do a backflip, then chug some Clorox and go to sleep, he'll be at your door tomorrow morning. Manifesting really isn't that complicated, and I don't think you have to do all these random tricks to get what you want out of life. This shit can be mad simple if you want it to be, but you can also make yourself go crazy trying to be like the happiest, most optimistic, enlightened, high vibrational being that you can be. I've noticed that a lot of people, especially young people who are new to spirituality, go down this very delusional rabbit hole when they start discovering spirituality. And it can be kind of scary. I think something that a lot of people like to obsess over is angel numbers. You know, when your phone says 222, or if you see a street sign that says 444, those are angel numbers. And these synchronicities can become very easy to obsess over. And I've seen a lot of people do that. You know, they have to screenshot every time it's 333 or take a picture, and they think too deeply about it. I mean, I even probably went through this myself. You look at the clock and it says 334 and you're like, damn, does that mean I'm about to get hit by a car tomorrow? It just can be really dangerous, especially because if you look up what does 333 mean, I assure you, you're gonna get at least 50 different answers. Like, there's no correlation with any of this shit, because people can say whatever they want. They can just make shit up, and it really isn't that deep, and not everything has to have some deeper meaning. I think the sick part about New Age spirituality is that sometimes it encourages people to look way deeper into shit that really they don't need to look into. Sometimes shit just happens. I mean, I believe that everything happens for a reason, but it's okay to just let it go. Speaking of delusional rabbit holes, a big problem within this whole New Age spirituality space is the abuse of drugs. Now, I have run into a lot of people, especially in high school, who thought that doing a shit ton of acid and shrooms would make them an enlightened being because they had one really good trip and they felt really in touch with themselves and their spirit, and now they can't stop because that's the only way that they can feel enlightened. Cindy Lou, maybe you didn't have an ego death. Maybe you just overdosed. This shit is scary because there are consequences to this shit. I hate to break it to you, but the Molly is not gonna make you reach nirvana. It's just gonna make you lose brain cells. People mistake the euphoria from drugs with actual happiness.
LSD has a euphoric component. It's like diving into a deep pool of what the fuck.
I do believe that psychedelics can be used as a tool through your spiritual journey, but if that's the only way that you can get there, then that's not real. It's not what you think it is. People get so caught up in the look of it that they forget to actually do the work. I understand being excited at first and wanting to share it with everybody. I knew I felt that way, but it's also okay to keep that part of yourself private and to really just allow yourself to explore on your own, because it is a very personal and sensitive journey and you don't always have to bring other people's energies into it. It's okay to keep things to yourself because you gotta, protect yourself, protect your energy. Making it this showy thing turns it into something it's not, into this superficial performance that isn't authentic. I know personally, over the years, I've become a lot more private about my spiritual beliefs. I mean, even filming that video about my spiritual experience was something that I wasn't planning on making, but people asked me for it and I figured, you know what, I might as well share. It's a positive part of my life, and if anyone feels some type of way about it, who cares? I think because it's become so popular to be into things like astrology, crystals, manifesting, etc., it's almost created this stigma around it, which is really unfortunate because I don't think any of these things are bad, but I feel kind of weird bringing it up because I don't know how people are going to react, and I don't want people to make assumptions about me based off of the things that I'm interested in. A lot of people hate astrology now, and I remember when it was just like this fun little thing, it really wasn't that deep, but it's become like political almost, and I find that so weird. Like, just let people like what they like, but at the same time, astrology really does not need to be taken that serious. Like, if you're out here judging people based off their signs before even knowing them, then that's really on you, and you need to fix that because you're still judging people, and that's like kind of missing the whole point about exploring metaphysics and things like that. And I think the reason why astrology has become such a controversial mess is because people use astrology as a way to demonize other people, and that is a result of the trendiness, I think, because people take it and they kind of ruin it for others because they try to turn it into something that it's not. People can really say whatever they want, I hear, about spirituality, and because it's such a broad thing that really doesn't have many rules compared to religion, everything is just up in the air and up for interpretation, and sometimes people will give the craziest takes based off of spirituality when in reality it's them just having an opinion, but they're trying to make themselves seem better or seem more right or enlightened because they say it's because of energetic spiritual reasons. For example, I remember someone was like, listening to rap and hip-hop music is gonna lower your vibration. Like, bro, if you fuck with hip-hop, then it's gonna raise your vibration because you're listening to music that you enjoy. People will literally say whatever, and it just makes no sense, and that worries me because there are people out there who don't know any better and will just take everything verbatim without being skeptical about it. It's okay to believe in what you cannot see, but still be skeptical. You can still use your judgment. We still need balance, and we are still living in this physical realm. Like, we're not just a bunch of orbs floating in space. We're human beings, and we can't just walk around the world in a delusion. This isn't a fantasy, and I think a lot of people try to make life seem like this fantasy land if you become spiritually enlightened, and it's not like that. A lot of these influencers will spread this message that once you do these steps and become a more optimistic, positive thinker who views their life as abundant, everything will be perfect and you'll be happy forever and nothing will ever bother you again because you're just so at peace. You're still a human being, you still have emotions, and spirituality is not gonna fix that, and it shouldn't, because that's not human. There's this thing called spiritual bypassing where people will use spirituality as a way to avoid conflict or difficult emotions. For example, let's say I'm talking to you as a friend, right? And I say I just lost my job and I'm really bummed out about it. And then you go, well, you just gotta think positive. Everything happens for a reason. The universe has a plan for you. And if you keep thinking negatively, and you'll attract more negativity. Like, bitch, fuck you. I just lost my job. The universe does not give a fuck that I have to pay rent next week and I have no money. We still live on this earth, and some of y'all need to come back down on it because we do not live in the world that you think that we do. And a lot of these delusional people come from a place of privilege, so they don't even have to worry about shit like that. There's a lot of classism in this whole new age spirituality movement because a lot of the advice that these people give is completely skewed towards those who have the resources and the privilege to go on a yoga retreat in Bora Bora and take 2 hours out of their day to meditate. Not everybody has that time, has those resources, or even has the mental space to explore their inner world and become more enlightened. The whole thing is giving very much Into the Wild, Christopher McCandless. If you've seen that movie or you've read that book, then you know what I'm talking about. It's about this white dude from Virginia who leaves his privileged life to explore the wilderness, and he burns all of his money and abandons his car, and it's just kind of funny because, I mean, he literally dies in the end. Poor rich boy wasn't cut out for living outdoors in the middle of winter. Surprise, surprise. Manifesting as a rich white girl from California is very different than manifesting as a poor person of color from the hood. You can't just manifest your way out of poverty. A lot of people will be like, how I manifested $100,000. Meanwhile, their father is like the CEO of Nike. These people are giving little to no perspective because, I mean, they just simply don't have it. And there may be people in completely different life situations who are watching them and thinking, why can't I do that? Why is my life not like that? I can't manifest. I don't have a high enough vibration to get the things that I want. But it's so much more complicated than that. And I hate it when people say, oh, you're just not at the vibration for the things that you want. Like, let's take a quick look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, because people fail to realize that in order to reach a vibration that is fit for manifesting, you have to be at the level of esteem or self-actualization. But if you're barely getting your psychological needs met, such as shelter, food, water, etc., then you don't have the mental space or capacity to even begin to enter the mindset of being self-actualized, which typically is required when creating your own reality through your mind. Not everyone is in the same position of life, therefore manifesting is going to be completely different or even out of the question when your everyday life is focused on meeting those basic needs. I really hate it when people say the things that you fear are the things that you attract. If you're afraid of a certain outcome, then it'll happen. Like, what the That's not how life works, and honestly, that's so damaging to people who have intrusive thoughts or just struggle with severe anxiety. And it's also just straight up bullshit. How can you expect someone to just be high vibrational, happy, positive all the time? And going back to what I was saying about spiritual bypassing, it's not natural to be happy all the time. It's not natural to embody light and positivity all the time. And people will push down their emotions like sadness or anger and just lie to themselves and said that everything's fine and they're happy and they're abundant, but like, you have to experience those emotions. It's okay to be sad. We have those emotions for a reason, and spirituality is not a replacement for therapy. I believe that spirituality can improve your mental health, but it's not a replacement for professional help or really dealing with your emotions head on in a healthy way. I've seen some people go as far as using spirituality in their spiritual journey as an excuse for doing shitty things. Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't pay you back that $300. I'm going on a spiritual journey right now, and I just feel like, as my friend, you should understand that you live your life in abundance, and money is just energy. That money will come back to you. It'll just be good karma, bro. I'm really hurt by the fact that you think that I don't have the intentions of paying you back, because trust me, I'm paying you back tenfold with the light and love that I'm sending your way. Like, shut the fuck up. I have to pay rent next week. I don't give a fuck about your spiritual journey, bitch. We're all just trying to figure it out and see what works for us. And it's just frustrating to see people put themselves on this spiritual high horse and act as if they're more enlightened, therefore they are better than those around them, or better than their followers. If you believe that we're all one, then you should understand that we're all equal. No one's better than anybody else just because they meditate longer, or they have a better plant-based diet, or they have more crystals. All of that is just for show. It's really about what's going on in here and the work that you do within yourself. People are very reluctant to share the dark sides of going down the spiritual path because it can be very intense and it can be very lonely and sometimes painful. In order to elevate your level of consciousness and awareness, you have to dig deep and do that shadow work, as people call it, and really look inwards and look at yourself as a whole being. Also, when you are discovering yourself spiritually, it can feel very isolating. Your reality around you is changing as you know it, as you expose yourself to the things that you were blind to before, and realizing those things can be very scary. And it'll change your relationships sometimes. It'll change the relationship to yourself, to the friends you have, your family. And that transitional period can be very painful because you realize that you have to let go of certain things and ideas and certain people, because when your perception of reality changes, it completely changes your life. And it can be very beautiful, but the process can be very lonely. And I don't think a lot of these spiritual influencers are really talking about that or being transparent about the pain that they've gone through and the pain that led them to turning to spirituality, because a lot of these people who are open about their spiritual journey and try to guide others have gone through a lot of pain, and they turn to spirituality as like their last hope, the thing that would keep them going. A lot of people like this have experienced alcoholism, drug addiction, depression, anxiety, so many other things, and not a lot of people are willing to expose the dark sides of this lifestyle, if you want to call it that. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. This isn't a fantasy like people try to make it out to be. But at the end of the day, so many people are just trying to sell you an image, so they're not going to share those parts with you. So yeah, if you want to hear more about my thoughts on manifestation, then hit me up on Patreon. And thanks again to today's sponsor, Keen. It's my first sponsorship, so I really appreciate it. And go check it out if you like. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.